Alright, let's go ahead and place the jump pad back in the scene here. So the next thing we can do is place an object on it so you can see it bouncing. Now, something to consider is that if I just put an object in the scene and I wanted it to drop, it's not going to drop and start bouncing, because remember, the jump pad is just like the other ones in terms of it needs a trigger state, and so you need to define what can actually bounce on it. So if we were to go to our jump pad and go down to the triggers, we could actually say that in the settings, we could say maybe that player can't, but a certain target could, or we could say that any tile could, and then that way when it hits the physics object, it'll bounce the physics object up. When it comes to kind of balancing in terms of the speed, currently there's a little bit of a tweaking you have to do to get the right balance for it, and by that I mean that the force applied when it hits the physics object, it's going to be a certain speed, but the speed being hit, we'll take a look at here on this one, has two things. It's either the speed that you're applying from the jump pad, and it's the weight of the physics object. So if we were to take this and make the weight of the physics object heavier, so we're still using the same force from the jump pad to push up, but the weight is going to be heavy that it may not even be able to push him up as much. So for instance here, he fell, probably jumped once before the screen faded out, and then it wasn't enough to bring him back up. So if you're working with different ones, just kind of note that you may have a physics object that you're trying to make jump, but it's actually just too heavy to actually go into that jump phase. Alright, so that's something just to consider, because the same approach, but opposite, is also going to happen as well. If I was to take this and take it down to, say, 5, so about half the weight of the other one, then all of a sudden it's going to be, it'll bounce a little bit higher when it comes in through it that way. Alright, so we'll take a look there, and now all of a sudden we have the height jumping higher for it on there. Alright, so it's going to be just setting up just an object to be using with the jump pad.